G'day everybody, here we are at Wade Northhausen for Billboard Battalion. Today we're coming to you from, this is going to be our last day for the fortnight sitting week, fortnight for the Australian Parliament. We're here in Canberra, right in front of Parliament House here, and this is in the Australian Capital Territory in Australia for people who might not be familiar with our country. Today is Friday the 7th of November 2025. So it's been a very, very big time here. We've seen some incredibly large pieces of legislation that have occurred and gone through the upper house. Some incredibly dangerous, the most dangerous piece of legislation you could imagine. And at a time when we're looking at new stuff coming in as well, we need to reflect on what's happening in Canada. Right now, as we speak, we've had multiple reports. People may remember that we did an interview about a week ago with Katie Persitney from the Universal Ostrich Farms in Canada, and they were going through the Canadian Supreme Court, which is the equivalent to our Australian High Court, trying to get a stay of execution for their 400 odd ostriches that the Canadian government, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency and the Canadian Royal Mounted Police, under the instructions from the World Health Organization and the World Economic Forum, seem to be totally dedicated to killing. Now, they claim to be killing them under some sort of biosecurity threat from the H5N1 bird flu. Now, these ostriches, this H5N1 got into their flock about almost a year ago, it was now. And a few of them died from it, and the others who survived, as any medical doctor would tell you, any virologist, would now have the H5N1 antibodies. So therefore, they can't get it again, they can't transmit it, all that kind of thing. And scientists were working with Katie and her family to extract these antibodies, particularly from their eggs. So it appears, at the very least, that the Canadian government and the World Health Organization do not want the scientists to be able to use the antibodies from these birds to create some sort of medication that can make birds immune to the bird flu. It almost appears as if when there is a possibility of creating a medicine or medication to take out H5N1 bird flu and make the birds immune to it, the World Health Organization and the WEF and the Canadian government, who are just prostitutes for those organizations, don't want that medication to be produced. They don't want something that can protect these birds and quite possibly the world bird population. So this is very, very serious stuff, and you have to wonder why, after almost a year, the Canadian government and the World Health Organization still seem intent on killing everything. I wonder if that could be part of a different plan. So I just want people to know, and people who have gone onto the site for the Universal Ostrich Farm in Edgewood in British Columbia in Canada, I would say to everybody, get onto Katie's site and see what's happening there, because the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, under the instructions of the World Health Organization, have virtually moved an army, an armed army, huge numbers of armed police, and you can only assume that they've turned up there with the idea that if protesters or whatever try and stop this massacre, this murder of these ostriches, then the Royal Canadian Mounted pieces of filth intend to shoot people. Otherwise, why would they be there? So I want people to understand this is what is unrolling around the world under the World Health Organization. Now, why am I making such a point about this? Because the body that works all this stuff together in Canada for the World Health Organization, who are a terrorist organization, is called the Centre for Disease Control. Now, why am I making such a thing about that? Because just here, this building, only last Wednesday, the Senate, a whole heap of these scumbag senators, voted to bring in what they call the Centre for Disease Control bill and turn that into legislation. So what they've done now is they have created an overall body to give the World Health Organization the legislative authority to kill anything they want. And they want to kill everything, including you. So what we're going to see is a combination of these things occurring with the bill they're trying to bring in, and I think it would probably be the next sitting, which is called the National Environmental Protection Agency. And that is something that will work in conjunction with the 2015 Biosecurity Act here in Australia. Those things combined give the WHO the power to kill, shut down, destroy, burn, break up, smash anything in this country that they want. And I mean absolutely anything. If you look into what this stuff is about and what it talks about, this is horrendous. So this whole thing, the CDC, the National Environmental Protection Agency, NEPA, and the Biosecurity Act, these things combined are the end of Australia. Now, what we're dealing with here is we have, as I said, I think the next sitting of Parliament, we will see them bring the NEPA bill into the upper house in Australia here. Now, the absolute disaster that we saw with many of these scumbags in this Senate here, we have to really start and load up the pressure on those senators. We need to start loading up pressure on industry groups, on social groups, on every kind of group, organisation that you're involved with, that you're a part of, your friends, your neighbours. Because a part of what they want to do with this, the Centre for Disease Control, in conjunction with the National Environmental Protection Agency and the Biosecurity Act, is they're going to say, and they're already saying this, that a huge number of the diseases that we see in people are caused from animals. And guess what they're going to be trying to do? They want to get rid of, kill, murder, exterminate, execute, whatever you want to say, every animal that humans have, whether it's farm animals, animals for food, animals for growing wool, up to and including your pets, your dogs, your cats, your birds, your fish, your goats, anything at all that you have that is a pet or any animal in your life. These filthy scumbags want to kill it because they're going to argue, and this is where the Centre for Disease Control becomes so important, because the Centre for Disease Control is going to say, well, under the World Health Organization One Health policy and the international health regulations, which the Labor Party just signed us up to only 4 or 5 months ago, they now are saying the animals are causes of all these diseases. So I make no mistake in the world, this is where this is going. And for anybody who has animals, and in particular, we need to look at our farmers. Now, our farmers are just basically floating around the joint in some kind of a stupor, no clue, don't care, no interest at all. And one of the big reasons why that's happening is because our so-called farmer representative lobby groups are basically covering this up. And I say by covering up, they don't want to know about it. Now, I've told huge numbers of these. I've been on about this for years and years. So they know what's going on. But the leadership of these groups just decide they don't want to tell anyone. They don't want to let their farmers know what's being set up for them. So it's very, very interesting that, you know, we ran into a bloke in Canberra here from Canada, and we got talking to him about all this stuff. And he was so thankful to Billboard Battalion for showing an interest in what was happening in Canada and reporting on that and letting people know what was going on. He's a Canadian bloke. So the people here in Australia and our farmers here in Australia, you need to get with the program. And we've had many, many discussions and arguments and meetings and God knows what with our farmer groups. Well, they need to get their head out of their collective, whatever orifice they got it shoved up, and start to look at this stuff, because this bill that passed on Wednesday is going to be crucial to farmers and pet owners, anybody that owns a pet. So where are we at now? So we're looking into exactly who turned up to vote last Wednesday in the Senate. We've also got to look into who voted for this Australia-hating policy in the lower house as well. But one of our main focuses right now is to put pressure on these senators to say if they introduce this bill next sitting in only a couple of weeks, at the end of November, then we need to have enough pressure there to make sure they do not pass this. Absolutely, it is off the table. It cannot be voted and passed because this is an Australian human killing piece of legislation. And the one thing that we do need to look at is to build the momentum, is to get a community force together to apply political, legal, non-violent pressure. Because what we need to do is repeal this bill that they put through there. Now here's a bit of the sticking point. When this piece of scum, our Mark Butler, our federal health minister for killing people, didn't extract us from the World Health Organization IHR laws on the 19th of July 2025, we became legally bound to create these bodies. So therefore, they will go to any lengths to set up these bodies to kill you and your families. So this is our responsibility to our nation and to our country and to our families' lives to build momentum and push back and fight this. Now, I really am very proud to say that we've got so many Australians now who are starting to look at what Billboard Battalion is talking about. And once again, I'd say to you, you look around here, there's nothing. We might do a little bit of a, no, we might not because we'll muck up the sound possibly. But I'm here to tell you, we're in front of Parliament House here. We've been here doing these lives for the last couple of weeks. And there's no other group who's here helping us. So we are it. Billboard Battalion is the only force in this game. Now I must say that we've done a couple of interviews. Last night we did an interview with Carl from Voice of Freedom. This morning we did an interview with Nicola Charles from White Rabbit, which we'll be putting up on Billboard Battalion very soon. And look, a really big thank you to both of them because they're seeing what we're doing and they care about our country. They care about whether our kids live or die. They care about whether the global powers come in and destroy everything that's here, your lives. So a very big thank you to them. And anybody else who's supporting us now. Because I did a live here Wednesday afternoon after the bill went through the Senate. And within a day and a half, that live's had 110,000 views. It's had over 3,000 shares. So there are people around Australia who care about what's happening. And they are now asking, who are these politicians who voted for what? Who are the politicians who did not turn up to vote at all? Who are the ones that were on our side and voted against it? They want the names of the people who voted to bring this Australia-killing legislation in. And I can tell you now, if you look at a great place to start, the Labor Party and the Greens, and a handful of the independents. Look at people like David Pocock. There's a whole heap of them. They voted for this. So we're in the business of putting the pressure on them now. Take them to task, go to war with them, or try and get them on side, explain what's happening, what the situation is. But I fear that these people are either so ideologically conditioned to not be able to think about anything rationally, not evaluate evidence, not evaluate the facts. They're so ideologically conditioned to just go lefty, 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 lefty. World Economic Forum, World Economic Forum, World Economic Forum. World Health Organisation, yes, yes, destroy Australia, destroy Australia. Yes, yes, do whatever we want, nod, just nod and vote. That's what I think is a big part of the problem. And the thing is, do these brain-dead half-wits understand that they're bringing in the policies that they're going to use to kill their kids and families? So this is what we're dealing with. And this is where we need massive numbers of Australians. And we're getting support from people around the world now. I have been for quite a while, but it's starting to load up. I'll be doing a live with Liz Gunn, I think early Monday morning, this coming Monday morning. We'll be talking to a bloke from Denmark about all the stuff they're doing with the cattle over there. The Danish government are making people use the Bovaer in their cattle feed, and it's killing the cattle. Now this is the plan. This is what the World Economic Forum and the World Health Organisation want. They want your animals dead. What they're saying is if you get one animal in your herd or flock or whatever that's got some sort of it gets crook, then you've got to massacre the entire lot, because that way they guarantee they're going to kill all our animals. This is where it's at. Take out the food supply and take out. So many people have pets that they rely on for their company. They rely on them for all sorts of amazing reasons. They want them gone. This is going to lob in your backyard. It's going to lob in your kitchen, your lounge room. They're coming after everything that you have. They have told us this, and that's what's happening. So I just want to say a big thank you to all the people who are supporting, all the people who are watching and sharing. So that's so critically important. So we need to put together strategies to defeat this bill that I believe will be put up in the next Parliament. That's the end of November. And if these filthy scum in the Labor Party, these Australia haters, are true to form, they will again shut down debate. They will use their numbers in combination with these filthbag Greens and some of these independents or whatever to shut down people's right to speak. And then they will just guillotine this through. So this is where we the people, okay, I cannot stress this strongly enough. This is where we the people must stand up now. We should have been standing up when they did this other stuff, but we didn't. A handful of us have been doing that for a long, long time, but haven't had a whole great heap of support. But this is where we need to pull everything together and push this back. Because what's going on, if you've got, here are your politicians. Now, to move something one way or the other, you need to use pressure. And what we see here is that the lobbyists, the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, the big pharma, the people that want you dead, are constantly pushing the politicians, putting pressure on, and they're slowly moving them the way they want. That's what's happening, because there is no us putting the pressure on the politicians, pushing them back the other way. That's why they're just doing whatever they want to do. And I believe for most of them, they bribe them, they blackmail them, they give them gifts, all sorts of things, whatever's going on, or they put pressure on them in many other ways. And many of these people are career politicians, and they're up for being corrupt. They're absolutely up for breaking the law, being illegal, killing whoever they want, so as they get ahead. That's what this deal's all about. So therefore, we have a very small window of opportunity. Now, I'm talking to some of the farmers now. I was talking to Brett Hosking today, who's the president of the Victorian Farmers Federation, and I think we're starting to impress on him the seriousness of this. I've been trying to talk to the new president of the National Farmers Federation. It's taken a bit to get that organised, but I'm pretty sure that by now he would have got the memo from the office. Don't talk to Wade from Billboard Battalion, no, whatever you do. He actually wants to save farmers, and we're not into that. So we're going to keep pushing this, and we're going to go for it, because it's here right now. It's do or die right now. There is no next time. This is it. So I'd say to everybody, share these videos as much as you can. You know farmers, send these videos to them. You know miners, you know other people in the industry, you know other people in community groups. Send this stuff to them. And if they say, oh, look, I don't want to talk to you anymore, well, they're not going to be talking to anyone at all for much longer. So if you're interested in your country, you do that. Now, we're going to need to put enormous public pressure on the individual politicians. So we need people to be up for that. People are asking us, what can we do? We can't help but see it, because we need to mobilise more and more Australians, and we need to put more and more pressure on the politicians, because we're giving them a free pass to do anything they want that's going to affect your kids, your home, your properties. And as we see in Canada, I know there's a lot of Australians at the minute, Australian farmers, who are pushing back against the renewable energy fraud that is, all the infrastructure. Well, if you've seen anything to do with this bill, this Environmental Protection Agency bill, they're talking about using massive force to do anything they want, anything that they consider or will say is in the national interest. And if you try and get in the way of that, you have no idea the massive force they intend to use against you. Look what happened right now in Canada. They've got huge numbers of police there, armed police, and they're shooting these people's livestock. And we haven't even seen this start yet. So that's coming to Australia. That is what is planned with this CDC. This is what the politicians who voted for this, lower house and upper house, they have voted to bring that violence to Australia. The politicians who I read out their names a couple of days ago, they're the ones who voted to bring that level of violence and 100 times worse to our country, to our farmers and to our families. As I said, a couple of people have said, oh, just conspiracy theories. Mate, the legislation is now in force. So if you don't think that's right, then there's something not right with you. Can I suggest? Go and get another 10 boosters, go and be prepared to starve to death, go and be prepared to be locked out, sacked, got rid of your job, put in all the digital ID, the digital currency, all the ESG stuff. This is what this is about. So I'm very, very proud to say that more and more people are now watching. Billboard Battalion is gaining momentum. We're getting public momentum happening. This has to happen. Righto, people. Well, we'll bring you some more updates tomorrow on what's happening with poor old Katie Pasitny over in Canada, and with their ostriches. It's a heartbreaking situation. I urge everybody get onto Universal Ostrich Farms, or I think there's another one, Save Our Ostriches. I think that's another site, because these things are heart-wrenching, and people need to see what it looks like when with scum like these here. Just say, oh, we're going to turn a bill into legislation. You need to see what that looks like in real terms. So, and there's a lot of people I know, even Katie, they're calling for people for prayers for them. And by all means, if that is a way of comfort to some people, to comfort each other with prayers and so on, then by all means, that is fantastic. But as we're seeing, Katie's been getting prayers from all over the world for a long time. That doesn't stop men with guns. And that's what we're dealing with. A uniform, a badge, and guns. So we need to do more than just pray. That's why we are here. And as you can see, there's not very many other people here. And we need to change that. And I'm glad to say that we're starting to see people who are happy to say, right, let's get involved. And that's what we need. We'll bring you more tomorrow. Wade Northhausen here for Billboard Battalion. This is our last live from Parliament House here for this sitting fortnight. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for your support. Share this everywhere. So, if we were going to do a hashtag, it would be watch, share, and act. Watch, share, and act. We've got to do a lot more than what we're doing now. Thanks, everyone.